By far the biggest positive about this game is of course the theme itself. I remember being stood in that board game shop looking at all the different games, wondering what to buy, and when I saw the theme for Last Will, it immediately hooked me, it immediately drew me in. The idea of spending your money as quickly as you possibly can, but of course having limited time and limited resources to do that, that was something that really excited me. But I've also got to say, I think the theme works as a negative about this game as well. It's by far the biggest positive, but to be honest, it's not really executed as well as it possibly could be. When you're playing the game, you kind of forget that that's the theme, and this turns into basically just another economics game. Granted, all right, there are some laughs along the way that you have at the idea of, bringing a horse on a boat trip with you, or, every time you go to dinner every single day, you might not even show up and you'll bring your own private chefs and things like that. There are a few kind of cheap laughs that you have along the way because of that. But beyond that, you do kind of forget the whole backwards economics thing, and you basically play it just as any other deck building and engine building, I should say, economics game. So the theme is what originally made me buy this game, and I was really excited by it, but I also think it's a negative because I don't think it's executed as well as it possibly could be. In terms of game mechanics, there's a lot of things that I think this game does very well. It's got a good pacing to it, it doesn't last longer so that it kind of outstays its welcome. It's also very varied with the different phases. It's not quite simply, you play a card, you pick up a card, you play a card, you pick up a card, or something like that. The different phases do add a lot of variation to the game, also a little bit more replayability in that sense. However, when it comes to game mechanics, that is where this game really falls apart. In my opinion, this game commits one of the biggest sins any board game could ever commit, and that is this. It's far more complicated than it's necessary for this game to be. What do I mean by that? So glad you asked. Allow me to explain. Imagine a graph where on the x-axis we have the complexity of a game in terms of the choices that you make. And by that I mean things like how many choices you have to make, how much thinking those choices require, that type of thing. And then on the y-axis we have the game's strategic depth. I like to imagine that in most games there's a line that goes somewhere like this, where basically the more choices you have to make and the more complicated those choices are, the more strategic depth you need in a game for it to be worth making those choices. Basically, if I'm going to spend a long time thinking about what I have to do, and if I have a lot of factors to consider, I want there to be enough strategic depth for the thought that I've put into it to feel worth it. Basically, I want my decisions to mean something, especially when I'm making so many of them. If you were to take a more complicated game, like Spirit Island for example, there's quite a lot of choices that you have to make, and the complexity of those choices is relatively high. But Spirit Island very much gets away with it because of the strategic depth. There's so much strategic depth in this game that it's okay to make those choices because it feels like those choices very much enhance my chances of winning. So, how does it look for Last Will? Well, one choice you have to make is which of the hourglasses you place your token onto. That controls 4 different things. Which hourglass you choose determines how many cards you get, how many errand boys you get, how many actions you get, and also which order you're going to be playing in. 4 different factors to consider across 7 different options. That means you've got 28 different things to think about when you're making that decision. And by the way, that's 28 before you even consider your opponent, what they might want to do and what you might want to stop them from doing. 28 different things. Does it have the strategic depth to justify being such a complicated choice? I don't think so. And immediately after making that decision, you've got another choice to make, which is which type of card do you want to pick up out of the 4 possible options. And the thing here is that If you were allowed to pick up one, have a look at it, decide based on this which option you'd like for your next card, that would be adding strategic depth, because then I'm making a strategy based on the card I've just picked up. A rather reactionary strategy, admittedly, but a strategy nonetheless. But that's not how the game works. You basically pick up two blindly, and then whether they combine well or not is purely based on luck rather than strategy. Again, it's another choice you have to make that just doesn't have the strategic depth to justify it. I want to like this game, I really, really do. I love the theme and I was so excited when we bought this game and I really wanted to try it out. But I have to admit, this game is a 1 out of 5 bananas for me. It just doesn't execute the theme well enough. And then the thing is, you either end up in analysis paralysis, going through all the different options and all the different choices you have to make in order to kind of make a decision that slightly improves your chances of winning, or you just end up, placing something randomly, picking things up randomly, and kind of hoping for the best. And let's be honest, that isn't gaming. But I'd love to know what you guys think. If you like this game, please tell me why I'm wrong. Like I said, I really want to like it, and if it's a particular favourite of yours, I'd love to know why, and I'd love to know which part of it is that I'm wrong about. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe if you haven't already, or give this video a like. But in the meantime, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, goodbye, and enjoy. Take care.